I think the idea of, quote, being a nerd became cool or popular. Now, a lot of us are going to have interests that are considered, quote, nerdy because, well, we grew up with technology and we're going to discover things that we like across the internet. Now, back in like, I don't know, the 1980s or some shit, if you said you liked video games or solving Rubik's Cubes or comic books, people who were bullies back then would have deadass called you a dweeb and fucking shoved you in a locker and gave you a wet willy. Some people, if you even did anything on the computer, they will look at you like some kind of alien. And if something wasn't considered mainstream, it was not socially acceptable. And some people would get bullied for doing these things. Now, I don't really remember much about the 2000s, so I can't really speak on that. But at least the 2010s and the 2020s, everybody is using some form of technology or playing video games, watching anime, or anything like that. I don't know. But it's kind of crazy to me how these things went from not socially acceptable at all to very popular. Like, it's just weird how that works. But at the same time, it doesn't really surprise me though, since technology use is at an all-time high. And if you invested in Apple in 2007, you would be able to feed your family for generations. I was too busy watching The Wiggles and being barely conscious. Come on, bro. Lock in. Get Apple. What the hell are you doing? And ever since then, the overall popularity of things online has just been going crazy. The internet influences every single thing we do. The content that we consume is a huge part of our thought process. So why did it get to this point? And what was the sudden jump in popularity? Well, I guess that's what we're going to answer in today's video. Now, in the 2010s, I feel like, I guess that nerdy stigma around gaming faded a little bit because a lot of people were buying consoles in like the late 90s and the 2000s. And by the time the 2010s rolled around, having a gaming console in your house was like a really common thing. By then, so many people had consoles in their house. And every single time, the market leaders were literally just pushing the needle for how wide of an audience it could reach. And when apps like YouTube and Twitch started to become popular, that definitely helped push the idea of gaming. YouTubers like Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, PewDiePie were very popular in like the mid 2010s. So much so that PewDiePie was like the most subscribed YouTuber at the time. And a lot of people just found watching other people playing games interesting, even though they could literally just log on and play the game themselves. And later, as years went on, Fortnite became very popular. And that was the new thing that everybody was talking about. Even fucking news outlets were talking about it. And Fortnite has been downloaded over 500 million times. And even a game like Minecraft that was really popular in 2012, 2013 had a resurgence in 2019 because of people playing the game like PewDiePie. And that influenced so many people to play these games because Twitch streamers and YouTubers were playing it. And that really pushed the idea of gaming. And especially when 2020 hit, nobody had shit to do. So everybody who normally didn't play games or use the internet like that was kind of forced to, because what else were you gonna do? Like, you couldn't even go outside without wearing a mask, or even at some points, nobody stepped outside because they were just afraid of getting it. So these things that would be considered like, quote, nerdy in like the 1980s or 1990s suddenly became really popular. But one thing that blew up like crazy around that time was anime. Now, there was a huge switch up around anime. There was a stigma about anime that like, oh, if you watch anime, like, oh, you smell bad and this and that. I mean, there is bad apples in every single fan base. That's just how it is. I feel like as the years went on, it just grew a lot in popularity. Like even the 90s and the 2000s, Dragon Ball Z and like Pokemon were popular. But especially in the year 2020, people got into anime heavily. I remember the year after, a lot of people were talking about anime in school, which kind of shocked me because I didn't realize how big it was. Like, I just thought maybe a handful of people in our school watched it, but no, like a lot of people were talking about it. And what was the reason behind this? What was with the switch up? Well, a lot of anime became accessible on Netflix. So I would definitely assume that it has something to do with it. And apps like Crunchyroll also got really popular. You can see in this chart from Statistica like that, it just rose in popularity as the years went on. And it completely spiked in January 2024. Crunchyroll now had 15 million subscribers. So the pandemic was just the catalyst, and that shit was already on its way up. And now I'm not gonna act like I was a fan since the beginning, because I definitely hopped on the bandwagon, bro. I'm not gonna lie. So I started watching anime in 2022 when I finally purchased a Netflix subscription. I don't know why it took me so long, but yeah, it is really crazy seeing like how much anime's become a part of pop culture in the last 20 years or so. Now I feel like anime is also used in a lot of different memes, and it's like a huge part of like the reaction images on TikTok. And speaking of, another thing that also became became huge was memes. We all communicate via meme now. Like, it's crazy. Memes have just merged with pop culture so much that you will hear memes in your daily life now. When I walk into my college classes, sometimes I will hear people say 6'7". I literally got called Unk in one of my classes, bro. I got called Unk. Okay, I definitely should not be surprised at this point. Okay, but anyways, in the 2000s, memes were in their infancy. So the internet moved mad slow, so there weren't gonna be that many memes. And memes lasted for like fucking decades. Okay, maybe not decades, but like they lasted years. And people would send each other memes like via email or some shit. So you could just imagine how slow memes were spreading at that point. But I feel like memes got mainstream in like probably like the mid 2010s because I started to see photos of memes being used like in my class at school or like on the lunch table, and everybody was just clowning the school, bro. They were like, what the hell is this? And it had some caption to go along with it, which nowadays, like, we'd probably look at that shit and be like, what the hell do we need the caption for? You could literally just show the person's facial expression. But as we consume more content through like TikTok or Instagram Reels, new memes are gonna come and go faster. Some memes last, but I feel like the average lifespan of a meme is like 1 week. It's gotten that bad. And some of them are just so random, I don't even understand them anymore. Like, what the hell is chicken stars? Like, I just don't get it. There are definitely memes that I find funny, and there's definitely memes that still last a long time. Like, this meme of Speed trying not to laugh has been going around for like years now. And I feel like at this point, the meme is just generational. But aside from all the exceptions, memes just move so fast now. And they've gotten so popular to the point where if you open any comment section, you will see a lot of these like reaction images. And I feel like as memes gotten more popular, like the older generation has also been catching on quicker, which could also be why people are saying, oh, the meme's dead, the trend's over. Like, you will see a meme on the news within at least a week of it being out now, or at least the really popular ones. Like, there's this robot going around called like Rizbot, which is a crazy name for a robot, by the way. Apparently he was talked about on the news, which in the year like 2000, you never imagined a meme being talked about on the news. And since nerd culture has gotten really popular in the past like 15 years or so, it makes sense that a lot of people are going to start talking about it on TikTok. I would say that nerd culture is at its all-time peak, considering that there was a whole TikTok trend saying that you need to nerd out. Now, what the hell does this even mean? Well, nerding out was essentially the idea of just putting all your interests that people would consider nerdy on screen. I think we got to a point where people were just trying to be different, like just for the sake of being different. And they were just claiming that they were a nerd, even though their interests were like not considered nerdy at all. A lot of people started to get upset when people were putting things like Taco Bell, Starbucks, Target, and apparently one person even put Gmail. Like, I get that you could be a nerd about anything, technically. Like, if you watch the Starbucks iceberg, that's like 3 hours long. Okay, maybe you are a Starbucks nerd. But still, my point stands that some people are just trying to say that they're a nerd for the sake of being different. Like, it's okay if you're not really into things that are considered nerdy. Like, you don't have to be. No one's telling you that you have to be a nerd about something. Like, some people are just doing this for the sake of being niche. Like, I probably have the most basic fashion sense known to man. I like it, and I wear these clothes anyway, so it's fine. It's not a bad thing to be considered, quote, basic. It's about liking the shit you want to like. If you just hop on the trend just because it's cool to be considered different, you're just being performative. Like, I could definitely understand why people are upset that people are putting like popular establishments on the thing, because it's not like it's a niche reference about the establishment or like a niche limited time drink that's sold at the establishment that you really liked. No, it's just the logo itself. I mean, people may have been doing this to rage bait, I don't know, because there's no way somebody's including Chipotle, a dog, and a water bottle. I'm not saying this to try to gatekeep, right? But listen, I don't know, at least to me, it just doesn't make any sense. But at the end of the day, bro, it's just a TikTok trend. It is what it is. You'll like this video right here on the end screen. Just click on it.